You're watching Fuse News, I'm Lottie Plale and here are today's headlines. Are we headed for World War III as Russia invades Ukraine? Prince Andrew reportedly used millions of pounds of taxpayer money to settle his sexual assault lawsuit. Manchester professors are set to strike again on Monday. Student Union Exec Officer nominations are due to close on Monday 21st. The SU are currently accepting nominations for the next University Chancellor. A Russian figure skater found to be doping was allowed to compete in the Winter Olympics. England are due to face Wales this Saturday in the third round of the Six Nations. And finally, what's going on with Kanye? The rapper's behaviour grows increasingly erratic in the recent months in the wake of his divorce. Is World War III on the cards? Tensions are rising in the east of Ukraine as a Russian invasion looks increasingly likely. More than 14,000 people have been killed in nearly 8 years of fighting, and recent increase in skirmishes today has raised concerns that Moscow could use the situation as a pretext for aggressive action. The US and UK governments have issued a warning to their citizens in the Ukraine to leave now while the commercial means are still available. In other words, while flights and trains are still running. In a statement made just hours after the announcement of a police investigation into No. 10 lockdown parties, Mr. Johnson said, "The British Army leads the NATO battle group in Estonia, and if Russia invades Ukraine, we would look to contribute to any new NATO deployments to protect our allies in Europe." Over to Georgina Sockett with the news on Prince Andrew.
Thanks, Lottie. Outcry has spread across the UK as the Queen reportedly bails out Prince Andrew during a lawsuit from Virginia Giuffre. The settlement is reportedly somewhere between £5 and £14 million. Andrew's public income comes in the form of an allowance from Buckingham Palace, as well as a small pension from his time in the Royal Navy. This alone is not enough to cover the sum. As the Queen's income comes from taxpayer money, the public have taken to social media to oppose this being used to suppress accusations of sexual assault. The victim of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell has accused the royal of participating in her abuse. Andrew has also promised to make a substantial donation to Jeffrey's charity which supports victims' rights. Now here's Garima with the news on the UCU strikes.
Thanks, Georgina. The University of Manchester lecturers will be on strike on the 21st and 22nd of February and from the 28th of February to the 2nd of March. Over 50,000 staff across the country are expected to walk out. Staff at University of Manchester, MMU, South Virginia and RNCM are all involved in the dispute over pay and working conditions. Union members are continuing to strike over the 4 fights: pay, equality, workload and casualisation. On January 18th, UMUCU failed to hit the 50% threshold required to strike over pensions in the reballot. In the initial vote in November, they were short by just 1 vote. This time, it was almost 50. However, crunch talks have been scheduled for the 11th of February to try and resolve the dispute. The University of Manchester spokesperson said they understand the issues and take concerns seriously. They then went on to say, "We also recognise the right of colleagues to take this action, but continue to be extremely concerned about the impact on our whole community, particularly on our students, who have suffered so much over the past 22 months. In particular, we'd like to reassure our students that we will do everything we can to minimise any impact on their teaching, learning and wider experience, and will of course keep colleagues fully informed of any developments." Next up, the SU officer elections are underway. Here's Lottie explaining how to apply.
Nominations are now open in the Student Union's officer elections and will be closing on Monday the 21st. The exec officers are at the top tier of the union's student roles. They represent all students in the meetings with the university leadership and have a major impact on student experience throughout the university and city. Following a referendum, the exec officer roles have been altered this year and the new titles are as follows: Union Affairs, Research, Activities and Culture, Wellbeing and Liberation, City and Community, Humanities Officer, Science and Engineering Officer, Biology and Medicine Officer. These are full-time positions which get paid £20,403 per year. There are also a huge range of association chair roles for any student who would like to get involved in leading the union alongside their studies next year. Head to manchesterstudentunion.com/leadmcr to apply or to nominate someone who you think would make a positive change at our university. Over to Georgina with the sport.
Kamila Valieva, 15-year-old Russian skater who is currently the only woman able to land quad jumps in competition, tested positive for a banned substance 2 months before the Beijing Olympics. However, she will still be able to compete. If she wins, which is likely because quads are worth nearly twice as much points as triples, the medal ceremony will be postponed until the investigation is complete. The decision was made as Valieva is a minor and therefore considered a protected person, and that unfairly suspending her could cause her irreparable harm. Amidst Russia's history with doping scandals, the decision started widespread outcry on social media, with people pointing out that if Valieva is old enough to compete, then she should be old enough to comply to the rules. However, this also started a bigger debate as comparison was made with US track star Sha'Carri Richardson, who was disqualified from the 100-metre race at the Tokyo Summer Olympics and faced a 1-month ban after testing positive for cannabis. Richardson questioned why she lost her chance to compete at the Olympics, but Valieva won't, suggesting there was racial bias in the decisions. She also alluded to the fact that trimethazine, the drug which Valieva tested positive for, was a performance-boosting drug, while cannabis wasn't. CEO of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee said, "We are disappointed by the message this decision sends. This ruling denied athletes the right to compete on a level playing field." Last up, here's Garima with the news on Kanye.
Rapper Kanye West has been making headlines after a series of erratic social media posts, one of which targeted singer Billie Eilish. Billie hastily stopped her show in Atlanta on February 6, 2022, after realizing that a concert goer was struggling to breathe in the crowd. After quickly providing the fan with an inhaler, Billie said, "I will wait for the people to be okay before I keep going." Ye interpreted Billie's comment as an allusion to Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival in November, when 10 people died and many more were injured in the crowd. According to several witness testimonies, Travis has encouraged his crowds to rage, which later sparked a lot of controversy surrounding the rapper. Travis has maintained that he was only aware of the severity of the situation hours and hours after the concert. However, he is currently facing several lawsuits. Ye seemingly had to share his unsolicited opinion about the situation, writing, in all caps, "Come on Billie, we love you. Please apologize to Trav and to the families of the people who lost their lives. No one intended this to happen. Trav didn't have any idea of what was going on, what was happening when he was on stage, and was very hurt by what happened. And yes, Trav will be with me at Coachella, but now I need Billie to apologize before I perform." Billie responded on the post saying, "Literally never said a thing about Travis, was just helping a fan." Many fans came to the support of Eilish, telling Kanye to grow up and delete this. One comment which received almost 50,000 likes reads, "She doesn't owe anyone an apology for doing what was right during her own concert, WTF?" That's all from Fuse News. Tune in next week for your weekly updates.